Hey folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. Let's talk about distance, and is it worth it to chase distance and possibly sacrifice accuracy? It'd be nice to have both, and is it possible? So there's a lot of excitement and attention on distance lately. We have golf commentators swooning over professionals about how far they're hitting the ball, 350, 360 yards, it's crazy. And we have golf influencers standing over a launch monitor hitting 50, 60, 100 balls trying to achieve a really high ball speed. But that's not really repeatable or consistent on a golf course. And as we watch all those results and hear this attention of distance, it can start to make us question our own game and our performance level. So we need to get real with it a little bit. Now, first we need to identify that distance doesn't necessarily determine the abilities of the golfer. I mean, how many times do you tell someone, oh, I play golf, and their response is, oh, well, how far do you hit your driver? Or how far do you hit your pitching wedge? And that's kind of irrelevant information. I mean, more appropriate is, what's your handicap? What's your average score? But even then, it's an individual game. So why does it matter? So I did a little bit of research on the internet, just looking up some resources, and I'll include one in the link below that kind of had the higher averages of distances. That search resulted in the average male golfer, average drive distance is 220 yards. Total distance, not carry. For those who don't know the difference, carry is how long the ball travels in the air before it hits the ground, and total distance is all that plus the bounce and roll until the ball comes to a full stop. Now, when we say average golfer, I know that can be a pretty wide margin, but comparing it to some other resources, that ended up being around the same as a 10 handicap. Now, the section that says good golfer, in comparison with other resources, they were equating that to like a scratch or a very low single digit handicapper. And for male golfers, that average total distance was 250 yards. So between 220 and 250 brings in a little bit of a reality for us when we're kind of comparing where we are with our drive. Now for women, for the average golfer, that distance was 175 yards total for a driver. And for really good women golfers that are like scratch or so, the average drive distance was 200 yards. And for senior golfers, the average drive was about 200 yards in length. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea, but we don't want to get all wrapped up in driver distance. We want consistent distances throughout our bag. So let's look at average 7-iron distance. For male golfers, the average 7-iron distance was 140 yards total. And for the really good players, it was 150 yards total. For women golfers, the average was 90 yards. And for really good women golfers, the average 7-iron distance was 120 yards. And for senior golfers, the average 7-iron distance was 123 yards. Remember, these are total distances. So that should put things into perspective for what we should expect. So we don't swing out of our shoes, swing so hard that not only are we risking consistency in our game, we're also risking injury. Now, when looking at distances, there's a whole lot of other factors that play a role, such as loft in the clubs. If someone's hitting a 7-iron a certain distance and you're not coming close to that, they could have a very low lofted 7-iron. It could be a similar loft to your 4-iron. So it's very difficult for us to say how long is a 7-iron. We also have shaft length to consider, where a longer shaft can generate a little bit more distance because of a wider swing arc. Now that doesn't mean that you should just go lengthen all your shafts. It just means take a longer club. But if you have a 6'4" player that has added 2 inches to the length of their shaft compared to someone of a shorter stature that might have their shaft an inch shorter, those 7-irons are going to produce different distances. And then there's the atmospheric and environmental aspect, altitude, temperature, humidity, all these kind of things. That plays a significant role in distance when we're comparing ourselves to other numbers and other players. So if you're playing in an area that is very low, close to sea level, the ball sees more resistance traveling through the air and doesn't travel as far. Yet if you're playing way up high in the mountains in high altitude, the ball will travel further. The air is thinner, there's less molecules to pass through. Temperature, the ball generally travels further in warmer climates than colder climates. And then there's considerations for the golf course conditions itself. Are the fairways rolling really fast? Are they really dry, giving you longer total distances? Or do you play in a wet climate where it's soft and the ball stops a lot sooner? So when considering all these different variables that influence distance, there's some that we are in control of, our swing and that kind of stuff. And then there's elements that are out of our control, such as altitude. And if you're in a simulator or using a launch monitor to try and determine your average distances, that's something you should consider as well, because the higher end devices tend to include those settings, altitude, temperature, these kind of things, so you can set them to be more equitable to your local playing area. So if you're in a simulator and you're hitting your drives 300 yards, but you go to your local course and you're only hitting at 240, that could be the reason why. So I'm generally someone who is a little bit resolved to lose distance in order to have more accuracy. Now, I'm not opposed to gaining distance, but I think setting distance as a goal to try and go to a driving range and hit ball after ball to just try and hit it further, I think that's going to be kind of counterproductive. And I think distance should be a result or the residual effect of just working on a nice, smooth, efficient swing, good delivery and contact with the ball, using equipment that best suits your individual and unique swing. I think that is the kind of thing that can generate distance without even focusing on it. But I'm willing to try new things and adjust my game, so I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to swing comfortably, see the results and the control involved, and I'm going to swing out of my shoes and see if I get more distance and see if I can keep the ball in play. All right, we're going to hit a few shots on the range here, do some comparisons. I'm using the OptiShot 2 swing pad. It's not as accurate as real world results, but it'll give us a difference between, a comfortable swing and swinging out of my shoes. My SkyTrack's on the way. It's in the mail, so we can try this again with more accurate real world results a little bit later. So I'm going to start with hitting driver down the range here and start with just comfortable regular drives. Okay, 99 miles per hour, inside out, a little closed, not bad. I could tell it was a little low on the face. Try another one. Pretty similar, little draw. Little off the toe, but almost identical results with those comfortable drives. Let's see what happens if I try and kind of swing out of my shoes. And try not to hurt myself. And hopefully I hit my screen and don't put a hole in my wall. It's hard to swing that fast though when you're trying to hit something. All right. I'm getting a lot more speed, a lot more distance. Fade. Outside in swing, 110 miles per hour. So far, no danger, but kind of an opposite flight path there. So let's see if I really go after it again. That was low off the face. Again, a fade, unintended, but 109 miles per hour. So I'm getting a good 10 miles per hour faster swing speed there, and I'm getting significant yardage. It felt uncontrolled. If I had to try and shape a shot, which I struggle with anyway with my driver, I think that would be hard. All right, a little winded after those driver swings. Let's try a couple of 6-iron swings, starting with comfortable swing first. All right, not too bad. I expect a little more. One felt a little bit better. I'm gonna get pretty much the exact same distance there. All right, same miles per hour, similar distance. So again, that's repeatable for me on the course. Now let's see what happens if we swing out of our shoes. Feels so irresponsible. It felt like it swung faster. I got 4 yards, different shop shape, outside in. I had no control over that. And maybe I can do better. Jeez. I mean, that was even worse. That could be out of play with such a slice. I'm just going to try one more for the sake of it because I'm having trouble finding the release point with a quick swing like that. That one's a little better. Tired. I got almost 10 yards out of it. 3 more miles per hour. For the effort I put into fast swing like that, and we could be getting mixed results on this swing pad too, but for that effort, I don't know where the ball's going to go. There are a few squirrely ones. For me, the safe play feels better. Even with the drives, even though I got longer distance, I felt out of control. I didn't know where the ball would land, and I felt a little bit more in control with my comfortable drive. Now that's me. That's how I feel I can score better. What about you? What's your perspective on speed or accuracy? And, what's your take on how difficult it is to nail down accuracy if you're really trying to increase your speed? So some interesting results there. Let me know your opinion. Are you going to chase distance? Or are you going to try and focus on more accuracy, or both? I'll probably try and do another comparison playing a full hole on the course as a player that is swinging out of their shoes and a player that is just trying to play controlled golf and see the result. But until then, I hope you enjoyed that. If you're liking this content, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.